Thank you very much. Welcome, everybody. We have a nice plan for you today. We're going to talk about some financial modeling tools that I think you will find quite interesting, and we're going to try to expand your skill sets with a demonstration of those tools. So let's take a look at the plan for today. We're going to look at basic modeling concepts regarding the forecasting process, the mindset, and we're going to try to give you some slides that you could copy, duplicate, whatever, and use for talking points with the people that you perform forecasting for or budgeting for. Once we've done that, then we're going to move into the demonstration of some sensitivity tools that allow you to flex your models given certain assumptions have relevant ranges and might move, and then you package up groupings of those values for those moving variables and see what happens to your model. So these goal-seek, scroll bars, and data table tools are designed to help you with that. Scenario Manager is another tool in Excel that's designed to help you track various scenarios of your model inside the single model file without creating file save as, worst case, file save as, best case, etc. So this is a very handy tool, but it has some edginess to it, and we're going to talk about some concerns and try to help you protect yourself from making mistakes with it. And then, of course, conditional formatting may flow through the process as we talk through our topic today. So just basic questions, and if you can use the chat pod on the sidebar to answer, that would be great. I just noticed I don't see the chat pod, but I think this is it right here. There we go. So I have some questions for you along the way. How would you rate your skill set in this basic, intermediate, and advanced arena? So would you consider yourself a basic user with solid formatting skills, some formulas, mostly historical reporting, maybe pivot tables, or do you move into the command of logic formulas, if-then statements, sum-if, product, time value of money, loan formulas, things like that, and conditional formatting, maybe some macros? Or would you consider yourself advanced? You have a clear separation of assumptions and from your formulas and the use of executive summaries, charting and graphics, command of sensitivity tools like what we're talking about, perhaps plus the descriptive statistic tools, strong macro skills, some visual basic maybe, use of naming tools, application of clear design, development, testing, documentation methodology. Where would you put your skill set? 1, 2, or 3? So if you could answer for that, I find that kind of helpful. You know, we're trying to do a two-way conversation with you. It's not what you usually expect in a webinar, but it gets you writing some notes to me. So use the chat box and try to respond to that for me, will you please? I don't see anybody responding yet, so maybe there's some latency there, and I'll assume that's the case. I'll be watching, and if you happen to jot me a note, that would be great. Thank you. It finally came through. Thanks, David. And I got a 1 out of that one. Here's some notes for you going forward as you're responding to that chat question. The budgeting process and forecasting process are sometimes dovetailed together, or using the terms maybe equally as meaning the same thing. Some people use the budgeting term to mean that thing that we log into the accounting system and we do our budget versus actual reporting with those numbers, and then during the year maybe we discover some other items that we want to talk about, and we make some adjustments in the budgeting work that we've done, and we try to forecast forward based on new knowledge. So the budgeting tends to be the lock-in to the accounting system for the year, and the forecasting tends to be that thing that flexes throughout the year. Well, using your historical reporting and your intel, plus some data mining perhaps not only from your own databases but maybe reliable third-party sources, adding to that your economic indicators and your expectations for the future, and then looking at the customer, supplier, and competitor relationships and what you know about them, take all that information and cohese it into your budgeting and forecasting activities. And to present this another way, we would take a look at the essential elements of our budget or forecast, starting with the revenue streams that we predict, and that's usually driven primarily by the marketing department and sales departments. Thanks, Patty, I got your note. And then we drive that to production plans. We probably filtered a bit because the reality from the sales perspective is often different from other people's reality. Given these two, then we can move into developing our operational plans to support the revenue stream and production plans. I'm going to pause for a second. Overarching this whole topic, the company should have some sort of strategic vision and make some clear statements about where we're headed in the 3 to 5 year future, and then translate that into some goals related to the current year, which then should drive sales and marketing on revenue streams, and then our production plans, and then our operational support. From these things, we may also determine that we need to grow the business in some way, perhaps in the fixed asset realm or an acquisition or merger or something like that. These are referred to as capital requirements, capital asset purchases and financing for those. In addition to all of that, we need to take a look at our working capital needs and make sure that our cash flow on a monthly basis is positive or supportable with our operational processes and cash flows, and if not, that we find alternate financing to support any gaps or dips below zero. That would then drive to the cash sources, and finally the forecasted financials, not just the P&L. So looking at the P&L side of this in a different format, we might look at our sales forecast with some sensitivity analysis. We also would take a look at our purchasing and our operational expenses through this same sensitivity analysis, but the PowerPoint version of an organizational diagram is fairly limited, and I could not repeat this process that I defined right through here again over on the other side of purchasing and operational expenses. I would, but it just didn't give me that design opportunity. So I say it to you. You'll take a look at your sales forecast through some sensitivity lenses and ask yourself, well, if some of what the sales department thinks they could do in nirvana actually came true, what would our best case look like? What would our worst case look like if we missed the mark seriously and maybe factors beyond our control come to bear in a negative way? And what's the most likely range we'll be in? We're going to use that type of intel on our predicted sales, our predicted purchasing, our predicted operational expenses, and these things will then flow to our cash flow from operations, tie into cash requirements, then we add on our capital requirements and working capital requirements, and we can then push out those financial statements. So another way of looking at it, and I'm just giving you visuals that you might like to try to use with leadership, and some of the folks that are department head, business unit head, that are going to be responsible for building budgets with you. Give them visuals that help them understand what you're trying to accomplish. Talk about the importance of a realistic sales forecast that we will use and create dependencies for production and ops. Tell them that we're going to do this in vein of possible requests for loans and support of our capital resources that we generate internally, and that it's a very important step that we get this sales forecast grounded in reality. From there, we push for our pro forma P&L, do this on a cost accounting methodology or contribution margin theory, where you set up your variable costs that are affected by changes in sales and your fixed costs separate from that. Drive your income statement with this methodology, and then develop your balance sheet assumptions and your cash flow forecast ultimately. So that's the drive, and that's the result down there at the bottom, the circle. The role of Excel in this process, which I assume you're here to hear about, and that you all have that as your key desktop sensitivity testing tool. And thanks, David. Got your note, too. I appreciate it very much. This is a pretty good tool for putting together your forecast. Now, some of the larger companies are using six-figure costing tools. Hyperion Pillar is a very powerful tool, but it has its own user interface. It costs a tremendous amount of money. It requires separate training to run it, but it mines your historical data in Excel and does some things that Excel does not do.
Thank you so much for taking a few minutes to watch this clip from one of our online meetings. Please don't forget to subscribe to our channel, stay up to date, and stay compliant. This video is brought to you by GRCTS. We are also known as GRC Training Solutions. And here's a quick information about us and what we do. We conduct many compliance and non-compliance training courses throughout the year, covering some of the most important areas within several industries. Our focus is to provide the best and the most up-to-date classes to our audience. All training modules are designed and facilitated by industry subject matter experts who possess years and years of experience and understand compliance very well. Our customers attend our online classes from all over the world. If you're not available to attend the live meeting classes, you can always opt in to get unlimited access to our on-demand or recorded classes. We also provide in-person and face-to-face workshops, on-site workshops where our experts will visit your company at your location and train you and your colleagues, LMS trainings, and finally corporate subscription plans where you pay a little amount to enjoy unlimited access to our courses. We have monthly, quarterly, and annual subscription plans. Here's our contact information for you. If you're interested in learning in any of these topics, or if you know a colleague or a friend who might benefit from our classes, please contact us or visit our website for more information. It's www.grcts.com. You can always send us an email, support@grcts.com, or just give us a call, 248-233-2049. We're looking forward to working with you.